What's up guys, how you doing? Cosmic Carry here. Today I'm going to be rolling out in the Jagdpanzer E100. I think this is the very first time I'm presenting this tank with commentary. But with over 1,000 vids, I think maybe I've had this tank featured on my channel once or twice, and that's about it. If I recall, there was a battle on Karelia where I did pretty good, and that was about it. That didn't have commentary, so that kind of sort of sums up the tank in a nutshell. Because when I initially got it, and it was quite a while ago, it was I'd say a fairly decent machine. Had a lot of strong characteristics about it, but the shortcomings were pretty big, pretty major, and these shortcomings would become very evident, especially in the closing stages of the game, where you have if you have a light running around or a medium running around and he's on pretty decent health and he's got that speed, he's got that mobility, and what can you do? You're forward facing and you're pretty slow and your mobility isn't that great. The tank does have that armor, and when you know how to work that armor, it does work in your favor. But at the same time, it is German armor, so it's very flat, and pretty much, the formula for penning German armor is just load heat and hit that shell flush, and that's about it. The strong characteristics of this tank, I would say, is the armor when it does work. is the gun, but the gun is so RNG dependent. You shoot that shell and it's kind of like you say a prayer to RNGesus and say, please, give me that shot, let me pen. And half the time it does work, half the time it doesn't work, and yeah. So when you do 1k damage, that is pretty decent. But you can do this in other tanks, other TDs at tier 10 so easily and so much better, and pen more reliably, and all of that jazz. But it's the games that I'm going to showcase, 2 battles here, they're going to be really good. They're going to be pretty decent, and they really don't showcase how the tank usually performs, because the games are pretty decent. And for the most part, the gun does let you down, I would say. But like I said, when it works, and how is this gonna work? I wasn't expecting that at all. So I auto aimed, and I was like, okay, just shoot. He's covered up most probably. Just say a prayer to RNGesus and a bend. We're up to 2k damage. But yeah, I mean, are we gonna do it again? But this is easy peasy, lemon squeezy. But we are up to 3k damage. I don't know what else to say. But and having said all of this, there is one glaring, fantastic characteristic about the tank, and that is the heat pen, which is, I think it was 420, which is the highest penetration you can get in any tank. But you don't see me using heat that often in this tank. A, because it's heat, and you have to make that work. You have to hit the armor flush, and you got a lot of Russian tanks out there. And for those of you that are grinding towards this tank and thinking about nothing but that 420 penetration, I got news for you. It doesn't work half the time. And I've been shot at by heat shells from a Jagdpanzer E100, and I've shot shells in the Jaeger, and it's and do you really need it? Do you really need it? And tell me I was wrong here. I mean, I thought that was good. I missed out on 1k damage. I should be up to 4k damage now. But anyhow, so for those of you that are kind of grinding towards this tank, thinking you're gonna just spam heat and all of that jazz, it just nah, you know. But it is nice when it pens. Because when it pens, it's major. When this gun works, it's major. This FV215B penning me and penning me and penning me. But when I shoot at him, and if I do pen, you know, and that first shot should have penned, my damage is major compared to his. So, but keep in mind, the tank is situational. You go down the flank. You got to carefully choose your flanks. Carefully choose which flank you're going to go down. Is it worthwhile going down that way? Because once you go down that way, that's it. There's no turning back. You can turn back, of course, but it's going to take you forever. You know, take a look where I'm going. This is all downhill. Now imagine me turning around and having to work on the 9-0 line. It'll take me 3-4 minutes to get back up here, Bob. And by that time, once I get up to the 9-0 line, the situation would have changed completely, you know. So for those of you that play in heavy tanks, you know, the Mouse, the E100, you'll kind of understand what I'm talking about. So you know, T95, okay, it's not that bad, but once you choose a flank, that's it. That's the flank you're going to be working on. And you saw me in the initial stages of the game. I wasn't camping in the middle. I was just deciding where am I going to go, which flank am I going to choose. Am I going to go down the 9-0? Am I going to head down to the beach? I don't normally go down to the beach, but I saw those guys pushing and pushing and pushing. Now what we're trying to perfectly do is I'm watching my proximity radar, you know, and I'm trying to sync that up with him passing in front of me, going for that heavy tank, and it kind of works out absolutely perfectly. I do load up heat because I'm facing a Jaeger route, and I just want that bit of added penetration, and you can see it. Everything plays out perfectly, exactly how I planned it, and I didn't want to shoot my gun as I was dropping down here because you know, the gun will let you down. So, and it's forward facing, and you don't come down the slope properly, and kind of you make a meal of it. I much rather kind of drop down properly beside this guy and just poof, lay one into him. Now you can see we're up to 5.6k damage. I don't know who would have got who there. So 5.6k damage. You know, I called out the situations the best that I could, and it worked out in my favor. And I end up with a buttload of damage. But like I said, you know, how the gun is showcased in this battle is not usually how the gun performs. 5.6k damage. I didn't spot that thing, so I'm down in 4th place. What can you do? And second game, we are on Pacific Island, tier 10. Yes, I am kind of always have to do a double take because this map is so terrible for tier 10. It just is so terrible. I know Mines is terrible for tier 10, but that's kind of different, you know. It's just there for, you know, comic relief, my personal opinion, my humble opinion, and it's over and done with usually within 3 to 4 minutes. And yeah, so, and not only are we on Pacific Island, but it's a weather variant, the extreme weather variant. It's Typhoon. So the name of the game is just don't get spotted and be RD safe. If you kind of observe those two things, you should be good. In a tank that is slow like this one, the flank that you choose, just don't go down there without support. I mean, that's what you do in general with this tank. I have to say, I totally forgot to mention is that when I was grinding towards this tank, I had a lot of fond memories with the tanks in this line. You know, so some tank lines, they're just abysmal crap. I hate them, but there were a lot of really decent tanks. You know, they're German TDs and the originals, the OGs. So and it was a pleasure to grind this line towards the Jaeger E100, and the prize, this tank was worth it, you know, in my personal opinion. I was kind of very negative in the first battle, and just don't want to build people's hopes up too high. Whoever's grinding towards this tank, and as you can see, we're already safe. Our lower plate is somewhat covered up, and we're in a nice, like, side position, flanking position, whatever you want to call it, and we're perfectly situated to inflict. Yeah, Artie is trying to do some damage, to get into some trouble, but we're getting overwhelmed by the reds here. So I'm going to fluff up my next shot, as you shall see in a second, on the 430U. There we go, we bounce. That was a bit of bad luck, I shall say. Now I'm going to use this 430U as armor to protect my lower plate. I will get penned, I think, once or twice by the mediums on the left, but it is a bit of a cluster F, this situation. And the 705A is also using his own 430U as a shield, which I thought was kind of mean. And no, you're not going to get into my side. Did he pen me? I'm not sure. That was the 212A, so I'm not already safe now. 430U gets taken out, and we're good to go. We're good to go. We're over in the blink of an eye. You know, that engagement. My armor did save me, and that was a good little judgment call to use the 430U as armor against my lower plate. I mean, the 705A was kind of preoccupied with dealing with the tank to my left, but already safe. Look, oh, I'm lit up. I don't want to be lit up. So there's just those two things I was talking about: be already safe and don't be lit up. Those are the two main things. So pretty decent little engagement there. So up to 3k damage. Like I said, when it does work, it works. And can we take this guy out? No, we can't. But this guy, oh yeah, adios. Bringing our total damage up to 4k. Oh, no. Oh, but I'm still hungry for more. Looks like he's hiding behind a wreck, but he's only on 192. He's not worth it. It's not worth my time, you know, truth be told. But there's a nice juicy TD off into the distance, and I do fluff up the shot, but he corrects my shot by presenting his side perfectly as I shot. And that wasn't RNG, that was really, really good luck. And we bring up our damage to 5k with 1.5k assisted, and another really decent game. So, boys and girls, the Jaeger E100, what can I say? Had 2 quick games, had 2 fantastic games. Good to go. If you're thinking of grinding towards this tank, the line is really decent. A lot of gems in this line, and the Jaeger is okay. It's really, as long as you can deal with a very RNG dependent gun, a lot of misses. Don't expect much from the heat, and you'll be good to go. It's very different from loading premium, like in the M46 pattern, for instance, the vid I had yesterday. But anyhow, take it easy, guys. Adios, muchachos.